is the heaviest selling pressure on Ethereum. Coming after the Shanghai upgrade? What will Bitcoin do? If you're interested in knowing more about this, please keep watching. Bybit is now offering a free $1,000 worth of Ethereum futures contracts after you make a $500 deposit and complete KYC. With the recent Shanghai upgrade, Bybit is offering free Ethereum positions. Once you have deposited $500 and completed KYC, you can come to. First, click on the link below to register. Then, you'll come to this page, and you can collect long or short positions. They have them already set up for you. You can close your position and withdraw your profits without any problems. And with a deposit of $500, you get $1,000 worth of positions. That's a very good deal. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, some people might say that it has broken through significant resistance at around 28,800 to 28,900. But I would argue that we haven't smashed through the 30,000 resistance at all. We are talking about resistance at 30,000. But, in fact, it is not at 30,000. I don't know if you get what I mean. Basically, the resistance is in the 30,000 range, but not at 30,000 exactly. So when we talk about the 30,000 resistance, or the role reversal of resistance/support, we emphasize the long-term cycle. So we're looking at the range, not a singular price point. That's definitely not the case. Personally, I think the area of greatest resistance is between 31,000 and 32,000. Between 31,000 and 32,000. Let's synthesize this part. I am actually quite optimistic about this uptrend. How optimistic? When I was here at the 19,000, I went all in on the spot goods. It was practically all in. Of course, there are many positions I'm not showing you here, and I went long. So for this uptrend, I believe it will definitely break through the 30,000 resistance. However, at the moment, the risk remains high because it hasn't broken through the crucial resistance at around 30,000 yet. For this part, I think I might put greater emphasis on risk avoidance. For the long positions, I'll wait until the price officially breaks through this point before entering. That would make things much easier. And it's easy to wear down your capital trading in this range. For this uptrend, spot transactions would be ideal. You can enjoy a profit along the price rise with just spot trading. Let's cut to a smaller level. I still think this is a risky place to be. On the daily candlestick chart, I have a small long position here. That's much smaller than it used to be. But I still think there are problems to watch out for here. I have faith that it will eventually break through 30,000. I'm optimistic about this bullish trend. I think it can go up to 30,000 to 40,000. No problem for this uptrend. But right now, there are some risks in the short term. The first thing to note is the volume of the breakthrough. Here we saw a real breakout. The trading volume exploded. Here, real breakout with a huge volume. Here, we saw a false breakout as its volume shrunk. And what do we have here? It's a decreasing volume. A decreasing volume. So I think there's a high chance of a false breakout here. It's highly possible. At least, I'm skeptical about this uptrend. Especially when we're seeing this. Such a drastic rise. Should see a sharp rise following the breakout of the resistance. But I don't see that happening. Instead, I see signs of weakening. In fact, we have very objective data, or an indicator to prove that it is weakening, which is the MACD. You can see that when we were in this position previously, the price went up, right? The price was going up, but the max EMA was going down. This is momentum exhaustion. Prices are rising. As you can see here, the prices are going up, but the MACD is going down. But has the pattern formed here? Well, no. We're not seeing a death cross yet. We haven't seen a bearish crossover, where the blue line crosses below the red line. So we can't be certain yet. But if this part is confirmed to be a divergence, then I think it's a strong validation. It's the same as the previous part. What happened here? The market trend is actually this part here. These two parts are actually more or less the same. Now, let's talk about resistance. Some of you might think that this earlier phase was when we faced the greatest resistance. You can see it for yourself. Around 28,700 to 28,800. Around this part. We've tested it many times. And now it's finally going up. But this is a real breakout? I still have my reservations. I still have my doubts. Of course, I'm certain that it will eventually break through. I mean, no matter what. It's extremely likely that it will happen. The chances of a breakthrough are incredibly high. But is it going to happen in this wave? Is this the one? Or is it only going to happen after the price reaches this point and oscillates? I think this is the more likely scenario. Then, here, you can see that there's resistance, and that's connected to the previous support point. Here, it's a role reversal. Now, a box. Where's the greatest resistance in this box pattern that has been created? It's up here, of course, above the box. So we'll pull this up, and you'll notice that we're at 22,000, at 32,000, approximately 32,000. That's the upper boundary of the box. I think that's the part where we'll see the greatest resistance. And it's going to be much harder to break than 28,000. Definitely stronger than 28,000. In fact, if we pull this resistance line further back, if we go further back, as we've mentioned, the 30,000 isn't the resistance. The actual resistance happens around 30,000. Especially when you consider the weekly candlestick chart. Of course, that was on the weekly candlestick chart. Okay. Now, for the 30,000. I think the highest resistance level will be at 32,000. 32,000. Look at the previous phase. The box pattern after the drop on May 19th had a support level of 32,000. The price rebounded upon contact. Although some of the shadows broke through the line. Rebounded upon contact. Then, there was a spread after a false breakdown, initiating this huge surge and rise. So, I think 32,000 is the most important support for the early stage. Of course, when the price attempts a retest after the breakdown, 32,000 will become the most significant resistance. So be wary of this point, everyone. Of course, maybe in 2 or 3 months. Maybe we'll see a breakthrough in this part. In 2 or 3 months. But there's bound to be some tosses and turns at this part. Alright, thank you. You're welcome to like and share my videos. And subscribe to my channel. Turn on the little bell button to show me your greatest support. Thank you so much. Bye bye.